Hi, my name is Laura. I'm a filmmaker and content creator, and I've been doing the Artist's Way now for 11 weeks for creative recovery. So I'm now on chapter 11, which is all about recovering a sense of autonomy. In this chapter, Julia Cameron really talks about, taking responsibility for your creative choices, recognizing that creativity is a lifelong journey, and also falling in love with the process and enjoying the process rather than the finished result. I will say, reading this chapter, there was one part where she talks about Eastern versus Western philosophy or something, and she says something. I will add the sentence here that kind of rubbed me slightly the wrong way. It felt a little bit demeaning to Eastern philosophy, and I think it felt like a very simplified understanding of that philosophy to me, and it also felt a little bit unnecessary. There are ways to value your own kind of spirituality without having to demean the spirituality of more than half of the world's population. So that was just a bit of a weird moment in that chapter, but the rest was still obviously interesting to read and stuff. Yeah, this particular chapter, she's leaning a little bit more into spirituality, which is interesting. Why not? I have been trying to develop my taste now for a while, and to really work on the intention behind my work, and also just doing work because I've wanted to and not really knowing why. But anyway, so yeah, I've been working on my taste and my intentionality, and I really think that now what will hopefully follow, but I know that it will take time, is the execution. And that's the part that's a little bit scary right now, because obviously execution can only come from practice and experience, and there's no shortcut for that. So, there we go. My art date was an improv dance session. This time around, I decided to have a movement-related art date because I hadn't actually done that in a long time. Like, I do go for walks, but they weren't within the context of an art date. So this is the first one where I'm like incorporating movement, creative movement into an art date. And yeah, it felt really nice. Morning pages, what can I say about my morning pages? Yeah, they've just been, filled with random just some thoughts and concerns, and just like general frustrations with trying to put a project together, but also like joys and inspirations and things like that, and feeling like I'm trying to remind myself to feel grateful that I get to work and create with people that I actually like, and even whose own work I really want to participate in and I really like as well. But it's when you're dealing with a lot of different people's thoughts and needs and concerns, it can be, sometimes it's going to be a little bit tiring. And that's okay. That's okay. As long as we're all there for the right reasons and trying to bring the project to destination, then I think there are frustrations that I can learn to live with. So the tasks this week were really interesting. One of them was to record one of the chapters of The Artist's Way that really spoke to you. I haven't done that yet, but I might later on, because I think that's kind of an interesting exercise. It's a way to like really get it into your brain. So yeah, and like integrate some of the good lessons. I might do that later. We'll see. Another one was to list 5 ways that you're going to nurture yourself in the next 6 months. So not next week, next 6 months. She mentions like supplies and art dates, etc., etc. So I'm not going to list them all, but a couple of things that I have done is that I've invested in courses. Not this week, but they're slowly happening. So there was a drawing course that I invested in that I haven't really delved into just yet. There is a color grading course that I've invested in that I similarly haven't delved into quite yet. And there's an acting course that's coming up at the end of this month, which I'm really excited about, which is over 3 days. Yeah, I will probably journal about that as well, and maybe I'll share it with you. Who knows? So those are some of the ways that I'm going to nurture myself. I would like to also visit some more places in Switzerland that I haven't been to. I also plan to go on a 2-week vacation once I'm done directing. I'm not sure where yet, not too far. And just disconnect a little bit and recharge. Because I think that's also really, really important for your artist and your creativity. Oh, yes. I mentioned I mentioned the lake. Well, I've gone and I will continue probably to go for what remains of the summer. I do not want to let the summer pass me by. I feel like I've said that before, but I really, really don't. I need to be super, just try and find ways to enjoy this as much as possible, because I feel like it's so easy to let it pass you by and get caught up either in work or being stuck or just staying inside or plans falling through. And yeah, summer just leaves you, and we don't want to do that. I would love to lay in the grass with a flute behind my head. I'm really desperately trying to manifest this particular image in my life because it looks absolutely amazing. What else? Oh, recently I've listened to Solane's full album called Si on sombre, ce sera beau. She has a stunning, stunning voice. Her lyricism is amazing. Her voice is crystal clear and super delicate, but at the same time also filled with really, really deep set rage. Would really recommend. One of the last tasks that Julia Cameron asks us to complete if we want to is list 10 ways that synchronicity has shown up in your life. I'm not entirely sure, but I guess, I recently met someone who does art direction, and I've been wanting to invest properly in art direction for my next movie. And this person's now part of the crew, so that could be some synchronicity. I had a phone call recently with a friend who's also creative, and it, in a moment where I really needed a bit of a pick-me-up, so that was really nice. Finding someone, I suppose, who was willing to lend me their apartment for an audition is also really nice. And I guess, relating to some of the skills that I'm picking up, helping someone with their crowdfunding is really helped me understand, first of all, how much time it takes, and then just some of the little decisions that you have to make. And I think it's actually really helpful because I'm going to set up my own crowdfunding, by the way, for my own short film, because unfortunately finding funding, and I have found a little bit of funding, it is in my bank account, it's just that it's making movies is expensive and finding funding is incredibly difficult. So yeah, I actually had a whole phone call with this friend about the sort of ethical implications of doing a funding, a crowdfunding, when some of the taxpayers' money is supposed to go to funding culture. But anyway, and then also being a producer on one of the sets, or being on a set that is really actively trying to market their short film has allowed me to just learn about what can be done in terms of marketing. So that's that's also been something that I'm picking up bits and pieces, seeing what's difficult, what's not, what's interesting and not. Yeah, maybe that's also some synchronicity. I'm not quite sure. Oh, getting gifted a book about writing from my sister. That could also be synchronicity. One nice surprise either way. I don't know. I'm not super confident about the concept of synchronicity just yet. I'm hoping to invite it a bit more into my life. Why not? A little bit more synchronicity is always welcome. Affirmations. Showing up regularly for your art means that you will not always be passionate about it. That doesn't mean that you love what you do any less. It's just that you will not always love it. And that's okay. Or that there are parts of it that you won't love. And that is so normal. It just means that it's become a little bit more present in your life, and therefore maybe a little bit more routine. That's not a bad thing. That's something that years ago you desperately wanted and you didn't think would happen. And now it's happening. Maybe not, exactly in the way that you would have dreamed, but it's happening. So, yeah. Okay, thank you for listening. I will see you next week for the last chapter of The Artist Way, chapter 12.